What I'm going to cover in this video are ways to help guide you to check in with yourself at any time in your life and assess how you may be attracted to others and what that might mean for you specifically. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Cunningham, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to be talking with you about how to discover your sexual orientation, or in other words, sexuality. But before we get into that, please do me a wonderful favor and hit the subscribe button to my channel and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. So some people may have a very clear and defined knowing of what their sexuality is. It may be perfectly obvious to them who they are attracted to and how they are attracted to them. However, sexuality is fluid and it's also a spectrum. For some, their sexuality is not so black and white, and for others, it may even change across the course of their lives. So what I'm going to cover in this video are ways to help guide you to check in with yourself at any time in your life and assess how you may be attracted to others and what that might mean for you specifically. First of all, who am I and why should you listen to me? A little bit about me. I received my degrees in gender and sexuality and in political science with an emphasis in religion and a certificate of service learning from the University of Kansas in 2011. I worked with a domestic violence center in Kansas for 3 years in community education and outreach, where I created programs and gave talks about how people find themselves in abusive relationships and then how to get out of those abusive relationships. And in 2014, I determined that I wanted to shift my focus from helping people get out of abusive relationships and to help people get into healthy relationships and everything that it entails to get into healthy relationships, which, going back to my degree in gender and sexuality, is a lot. So I determined that I wanted to be a transformational life coach after some soul searching, whether I wanted to be a social worker or a therapist. I landed on transformational life coaching because it's been something that's been really helpful in my life. And oftentimes people who are healers and helpers choose the modality that helped them the most. And that was the case for me. So I have been trained and certified in different modalities inside of transformational life coaching. And I'm also a certified trauma-informed coach as well. I started my relationship coaching practice in 2017 and have been helping people primarily in queer and non-monogamous relationships. Oftentimes you attract clients that are very much like you, and I am also queer and non-monogamous. One of my passions has always been helping people discover their sexuality. And one of the things that I love about discovering your sexuality is that it doesn't matter who you are on the planet. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter what your race is, what your religion is. It doesn't matter what type of upbringing that you have. Every single person has a sexuality. Even being asexual is sexuality. And all of that to say that all of those factors do play a role in how you relate to your own sexuality or how easy it is for you to express your sexuality. However, the bottom line is every single person on the planet has their own sexuality. And many people either don't question their own sexuality, either because it never occurs to them, or because they live in a place where it is extremely discouraged. So perhaps they may be scared of the repercussions or of what they may find if they do explore their sexuality. And many people who do question their sexuality may find it frightening or confusing because we live in a world where being anything but straight, or straight is also heterosexual, can be considered bad or even persecuted. Even here in the United States, if you are anything but hetero, which is again another word for straight, you can be ostracized by your family, your friends, your community. It can be difficult to find housing or a job, even though there are some laws to protect you. It's still not easy being a queer person in the United States or in the world. However, regardless of all of these social constructs, like I said, every single person has asexuality. So what I love and I find fascinating about sexuality is that it is so fundamental to who we are as human beings and to our experience as human beings on this planet. And so we have to be brave, be courageous enough to explore this fundamental part of ourselves. So if you're here exploring this part of yourself, I acknowledge you for your courage in being here. I acknowledge whatever conversations that you've had with yourself or other people, or whatever you may have had to overcome to even get to the point where you searched on YouTube, like, how do I discover my sexuality? However you got here, I just really want to honor you for whatever space that you are in. So thank you for being here. Welcome. This is the place for you. Okay. And the last thing that I want to say on that is that it makes me incredibly sad that we demonize such a fundamental and beautiful part of who we are and how we get to experience ourselves and how we get to live this life and how we get to love other people, that we as a society, I say we as a society, how we demonize this beautiful, natural part of ourselves. But anyway, that is for another video. So we're going to be talking about how you can discover what your sexuality is. So let's start with, what is sexuality? Very simply put, sexuality is how you feel sexually attracted to others. That is the simplest definition possible. Things that can come into play when determining your sexuality is how you are attracted to people, your gender, the gender of those you are attracted to, and sexuality has to do with how you feel right now. Remember that sexuality is fluid. How you currently feel now may not be how you felt 5 years ago, and it may not be how you feel 5 years from now. And that is okay. And not everyone is like this. Some people, their sexuality really doesn't change that much throughout their whole life. But for some people, it really does. And it's totally okay that if you are one of those people where your sexuality is very fluid and changing throughout your entire life, that is okay. That is completely normal to have happen. There is nothing wrong with you. All right. So some different types of sexuality are, and I'm going to use like the scientific term for homosexuality, and then I'm going to talk about being gay and being a lesbian. Because if you call someone a homosexual in today's world, it's not advisable. So if you're watching this video and you don't know that calling someone a homosexual is not really a cool thing to do anymore, then now you know. But homosexual is the word used to describe someone who is attracted to the same gender. So homo meaning the same, and then homosexual meaning the same sexual bisexual. The terms that are more acceptable, more culturally acceptable, are gay and lesbians. Generally, people who use the term gay are gay men, or now that more people use the term gay, sometimes people will say, I'm a gay man or I'm a gay woman. And so that just means that you are someone who identifies as a man who is attracted to other men, or someone who identifies as a woman who's attracted to other women, right? And this is not the video that I'm going to get into the nuances of all of the different ways in which gender and sexuality play with one another. However, there will be a video about that. This is more about giving you terms so that as you're discovering your own sexuality, that you have some terms that you can start to look into more deeply. Being a lesbian is generally someone who identifies as a woman who's attracted to other women, but I'll stop here to say whatever term really resonates with you, that's the term that resonates with you. Okay. I would advise you to be more concerned with how you feel and what resonates with you rather than specific terms and like trying to get it right. So gay, lesbian, bisexual, and bisexual is someone who is attracted to all or multiple genders. And then pansexual is someone who is not necessarily attracted to people based off of their gender. The lovely term that I hear for pansexual people is hearts, not parts. So people who are more attracted to people based off of their character rather than biologically who they are or what they look like. And then there's also sapiosexual, and sapiosexual are people who are attracted to others based off of their intelligence. There's demisexual, denotes people who are attracted to people after they have a emotional connection with them, so they don't get really sexually attracted to anyone unless there is an emotional connection. And asexual is, or the ace spectrum is a category of people where they don't feel sexually attracted to others. However, within all of these words that I have just said, plus there are more words than just this, but high level, these are some words that are used a lot. But within all of these words are experiences of many people. So just because one person identifies as gay does not mean that their experience or how they experience attraction is the same as someone else who also identifies as gay. Same with every single word I have just listed: gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, sapiosexual, demisexual, asexual. Every single person who may identify with one of these words is going to have their own personal experience of what that means for them and how that feels for them. So I urge you to really do this inner work. We're going to do an exercise and go through something that's a little bit deeper. And I really encourage you to begin to listen to your own feelings, your own intuition, your own gut around all of this and how you feel, and then discover the language that works for that rather than try and find a word that sounds good enough and then try to fit yourself in that. Right? Because that's less authentic. What's more authentic is to really listen to yourself and discover how you feel first, and then work out the language part later. Okay? All right. Some things that determine your sexuality is how you're attracted to people. And I want to zoom in on that bullet point and talk a little bit more about attraction. This is where I start with my clients when we're talking about what is sexuality and what does sexuality mean to you. And when people come to me who want to explore their sexuality, this is where I start with them. So in my work, I have broken down attraction into 7 categories. That's not to say that there are only 7 categories of attraction. This is just for simplicity and being able to look at it from like a high level and then start to explore underneath that. I'm going to read over the categories and then I'm going to explain what they are. So the 7 categories that I have are repulsion, neutral, platonic, sensual, sexual, romantic, and transformational or spiritual. And before I explain them, and before I go into these categories, I want to give a little caveat that if not all of my language resonates with you, if some of the words that I use, like the last category I said was transformational or spiritual, that doesn't resonate with everyone, and that's okay. And when I get to that category, I want you to listen for how that type of attraction feels. And then I want you to determine what word works best for you. I use the last category as an example, but that goes for every single category. If the words that I'm using don't fully resonate with you, I want you to focus more on the feeling that it invokes. And because that body response, that feeling that it invokes for you is more important for you and your journey and how you are discovering how you are attracted to people than whatever words I am saying. Okay. So pay attention to how you feel in each category. Okay, great. So repulsion is being repulsed, the opposite of attraction. So recognizing that there are people in the world who you are actively not attracted to. So I think that we've all had an experience where someone walks into a room and before they even say anything, before you even know their name, you just like, ooh, I don't, there's something about them. There's something about them where I'm like, I don't even want to know you. I don't even want to know your name. You have an energy that is not for me. So that is an example of repulsion. And it doesn't have to be like at first sight. It could be over time. Someone shows you who they are, and that is not a very good person, and you feel repulsed by them, even though in the recent past you have not felt repulsed by them. But as an example, as 2 examples, that is how repulsion could show up. The second category is neutral. So there are some people in the world that you might not even notice exist because you just have zero feeling towards them. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. There's nothing positive or negative here. It is completely neutral. You see a door, you see them, you have the same feeling about it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We can't be attracted to all 9 billion people on the planet. That would cause other problems. So there are just a lot of people in the world that you're just not attracted to at all. Platonic is the next one. Platonic is the attraction that we might feel towards our friends, or maybe our colleagues, or maybe people in our family. We feel that platonic attraction. We want to be friends. We want to be buddies. We love hanging out with them. We love sharing our lives with them in some way. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you want like a physical relationship with them. It doesn't mean that you want a sexual relationship with them. It doesn't mean that you want a romantic relationship with them. You're just buddies. You're buddies. That's platonic attraction. Sensual attraction is when you feel sensually attracted to people. You want to have a physical connection with them, but it's not sexual. So it's separate from sexual. So it might be something like, oh, you're really good friends with someone, and maybe you cuddle or you hug or you kiss, but it's not sexual in any way. It's just a sensual expression of how you feel about one another, about the connection that the two of you share. Sexual attraction. Sexual attraction is when you want to have sex with someone, whatever that means for you. And that can just be just sex. So I want to zoom in to this sexual attraction. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want a relationship with this person. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want to ride off into the hills. It doesn't even mean necessarily that you even want to be their friend. There are some people in the world that you are just purely sexually attracted to, and that's also okay. So just noticing that there are some people where it's just like, nope, I'm purely just sexually attracted to this person. I don't even want any other type of relationship with them. Then there is romantic attraction. And romantic attraction has been over the years of working with clients has been broadened and tugged into different things. So I'm curious how you hear this and how this occurs for you. So romantic attraction is someone that you feel attracted to, that you want to build a life with in some capacity. So that could, and I say a life in like broad terms. Like a life could be the typical traditional romantic attraction where you get married and you have children and you buy a house together and you do that road. Romantic attraction could also be some sort of life partner. And that doesn't have to be a sexual partner. It could be someone like a business partner. I had a client once who plays in a rock band, and he was like, oh, he's like, that's how I feel about my bandmates. He was like, that's like my bromance with my bandmates. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Like you are building a life together. You are building this legacy together. I would also argue that there's some transformational and spiritual attraction in there, but that is the next category. But romantic attraction can be something just greater than the two of you. And then the last one is transformational or spiritual attraction. This might be something that you feel towards leaders, people that you feel really inspired by, like you feel attracted to certain people that you have aspirations to be like. Maybe that be in something that you feel really passionate about. Like I have leaders in the transformational coaching world that I feel this type of attraction to, that I want to follow, or I want to be a mentee of these people or something like that. And so that can be different things for different people in your life. And then the last thing that I'll say about all of these categories is that most of the time, the people that you feel attracted to have a fluidity inside of this attraction. So either a fluidity in the relationship. So anyone who's been in a long-term relationship, and for these purposes, I'm going to say long-term is more than 3 months, because I think that if you've been with someone more than 3 months, you've probably felt multiple types of attraction for this person. So if you've been with someone more than 3 months, you've probably felt a multitude of this type of attraction for them, especially if you've been with someone longer than 2+ years, 3+ years, then you've absolutely felt a lot of different types of attraction for this person. And then going on throughout time, like if you're watching this video and maybe you've been with someone for 20 years, you might be shaking your head being like, yep, I have felt all 7 of these ways about the person that I've been with for 20 years. That is usually a pretty normal response. So throughout time, you can also feel these different types of attraction with one person. You can even feel these types of attraction all at the same time for one person. For example, I feel with the partner that I live with, I feel platonic, sensual, sexual, romantic, and transformational attraction to them most of the time. So it's not that one of these types of attractions happens at one time. It's very fluid and it can be simultaneous as well. So the importance of separating all of this out is that a lot of the times when we think about attraction and how we're attracted to people, we just think about sexual attraction. When someone says, I'm attracted to that person, colloquially, we understand that means that you're probably sexually attracted to that person. Usually, if you meet a new friend, you don't tell people, oh, I met someone I'm really attracted to, you tell people, I met someone I think is really cool. And so that kind of denotes to people that you've met someone who is probably in the platonic attraction, except for we would translate that in non-nerd speak. It would be, oh, this person met a new friend. And we would understand that, right? But for these purposes, that would be platonic attraction. Okay, how we're going to move forward from here is I want you to get out a piece of paper, and you can also download my free guided worksheet, which is going to be in the notes below this. So if you just look at the video notes below this, you can also go download my free guided worksheet. And so then you can follow along there as well. And then that's yours to keep forever. Or you can just get out a piece of paper. And what you're going to do is on the left side of the piece of paper, I want you to write 5 to 10 people's names that you feel some type of attraction to. Since this video is mostly about sexual attraction, I want you to write down 5 to 10 people's names that you feel that you may be sexually attracted to. If you don't have 5 to 10 people, that's okay. At least 3, all right? Think of at least 3. You can put celebrities on there too. If you don't have more than 3 people in your life that you feel sexually attracted to, write down fantasy people, okay? Because what we're trying to create with this exercise is just for you to have a visual of your own attraction. Isn't that really cool? And since we're focusing specifically on sexual attraction, we're going to have a visual of our own sexuality. So isn't that so fun? What you're going to do is you're going to write down 5 to 10 people's names on the left side, and then on the top of the piece of paper, oh, I'm mirroring you. So I think this side is your left side actually. Anyway, so the top of the piece of paper, you're going to write these types of attraction. So you're going to write repulsed, neutral, sensual, sexual, romantic, transformational. And then what you're going to do is you're going to visit each person's name, and you're just going to go across and you're going to check off how you feel attracted to that person. And so if you need to pause this video, then pause the video in order to do that, or you can come back to it. Once you're done, then I want you to look at this page. So now you have a visual of your sexual orientation. Isn't that cool? And do you see a pattern here? What do you see about the people that you are sexually attracted to? What are their genders? Do you notice that perhaps the people you have a deeper connection with, you feel more sexual attraction towards? Or maybe the people that you've just met, you feel more attraction towards? Or maybe the people who stimulate you intellectually, you feel more of an attraction towards. Notice characteristics about the people that you feel sexual attraction towards. And it might be interesting if you perhaps, when you did this the first time, you used people of all of the same gender. Maybe do it again and put people of different genders on there. Maybe do it again and put people who are more fantasy people on there and see what is similar about your fantasy people. Because sometimes when we're exploring our sexuality, we have a lot more fantasies about people than we have actual experience with people. And so it's totally okay to use fantasy people, celebrities, or people that you've never been with, or people that you don't know. That's okay. You don't have to show this to anyone. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to go talk to them after this, okay? This is purely just to see what physical sensations, what arousal happens in your body, and then to write that down and to look at it visually and to see what type of people you find yourself sexually attracted to. None of this is good or bad, okay? None of this is good or bad. It's not good that you are more attracted to these type of people. It's not bad that you're more attracted to these other type of people. None of this is good or bad. It's just information about how you feel. That's it. It's just information about how you feel. And this is just for you to notice, okay? This is your journey, and you can take this at whatever pace you need to. All right. Some of you might be ready to shout this from the top of the roofs, and some of you might be ready to burn this piece of paper. So, wherever you are at is totally fine. All right. I want you to honor yourself. I want you to be kind to yourself, please, about wherever you may be at in whatever stage of discovery about yourself and about your sexuality that you may be at. Okay. Okay. So my next question for you is about what action that you want to take. What outcome do you want here? Is this just for you to know? Do you want to find a partner? Do you want to talk to your existing partner about this? What would you like to have happen next? And I want to encourage you that regardless of whatever stage you're at, that you let yourself dream here a little bit. So maybe allow yourself to set your worries and fears aside just for a moment. Again, this is all in your head. Okay. This is all in the privacy of your own space. It doesn't have to be real right now. We're just dreaming. So this exercise is just one way to explore and discover more about who you're attracted to. Okay. You can do this activity as many times as you want to over as much course of time passes as you want to, or really allow yourself to explore and be curious and compassionate and kind with yourself about where you may be. Again, there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with exploring how you feel and discovering more information about that. Okay. So here's some other ways that you can explore how you feel. I'm just going to ask you some questions. So you can write these down, or you can just revisit this video later. Okay. Who are the people in your life that you have felt most sexually attracted to? Maybe look over the course of your life and be like, oh, like I remember this person I was really turned on by, and this person I was really turned on by, and this person I was really turned on by. And maybe notice that looking over the course of your life, you might see a pattern as well. When you fantasize, who are your fantasies about? Who's there? What are they doing? What are they doing to you? What are you doing to them? What turns you on about that? When you think about your ideal partner or ideal partners, who are they? What's their gender? What's their sexual orientation? What are some things in your past that have hindered you or make you feel ashamed about your sexuality? And first of all, if you have sexual trauma in your past, this might be a good question to ask with a coach or a therapist. I would go with a therapist or a trauma-informed coach who could refer you to a therapist if need be, right? And it's important to ask this question because where there is sexual shame, there is often sexual repression. And then when there's sexual repression, it's hard to get clear answers about our sexuality because there's things from our past that are hindering that progress. And again, you're not behind and there's nothing wrong with you, that maybe there's something that's hindering you from fully answering these questions. Okay. You're not like a leg down or anything like that. You're just at where you're at. And also, I'm very sorry that happened to you. Okay. It wasn't your fault. Again, when going into these questions about what might be hindering me in this, I would either seek professional help and services around that so that you can be fully supported, or just note for yourself, what is this sexual shame and what do I want to do about that? Or how could I start to move through this? Or who could I talk to about that? Or what would be possible if I were to be able to alleviate some of this sexual shame and start taking steps, even small steps in that direction? Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful for you. Please revisit this video and this exercise throughout your journey, throughout your life. And as I said in the beginning of this video, sexuality is fluid and it's a spectrum. This is not something to get right and then stick with forever. This could be something that is just a natural changing expression of who you get to be in your life. And if you have any questions, you can comment those questions below, or you can email me at love@elizabethannecunningham.com. And if you have any requests for videos in the future, be sure to leave those in the comments as well. And as a note on comments, I will always answer comments that are in good faith. And I will either not answer or I will delete comments that are in bad faith. I'm not here to debate anyone. I'm not here to pander to anyone being mean. I'm here to help people on their journey of sexual identity and sexual exploration. And that's what I intend to do. Okay. Thank you so much. And we shall see you in the next video.